Now, do I have enough light in here on the camera? Do I have enough light? Okay. Right there. It's just okay. All right. Now let me okay, let me get on the music. Okay. All right. Okay, let's see. And I think I got everything. Okay, thanks. All right, thanks. Good job.
But I want to say one thing to the American people. I want you to listen to me. I'm going to say this again. I did not have sexual relations with that woman, Miss Lewinsky. I never told anybody to lie, not a single time, never. These
Oh my God.
Running out. Hi, everybody. This is the Godfather, Soul James Brown. I tell you, this business is on. My man is on. Check him out. This is the Godfather, Soul James Brown saying stay with it and hit it. Okay, thank you very much.
All right. We are here, we're alive, and we're having some fun. As I take down the music there. Yes. Oh man. Well, this is my third week of water fasting, and I'm going to be putting out a series about how to water fast the blind way. So stay tuned for that. And so,
That should be lots of fun.
oh, I I just got this message from this one lady. Let people know how they can support us. And while I answer this question from this lady real quick.
Well, you can support us via, well, liking this particular broadcast if you're watching it on YouTube, Facebook, Rumble, other platforms, Twitch, just to name a few. You can visit us at innervisionfm.com. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. We've got KINV up and running. There are a couple of broadcasters that we feature. So check us out at innervisionfm.com. You can also find our mission and web statement at Innervision Records. That's INNER Vision Records.org. There's a couple of other ways you can help to support us, help us keep the lights on. One way is most commonly through PayPal, and you can do that by visiting paypal.me/UnivisionDenver, and just go ahead and leave us your love.
Yes, and that is definitely some places. Where is this lady? Oh, there she is. Okay. It's just taking me a while to get the Outlook open. And let me,
We
man.
feature grassroots musicians, recording artists, things like that. We do have a number of different topics that deal specifically with blindness related issues. Johnny Johnson is the first blind film producer, anyway, that we know of in Colorado. He started way back in 1991 with a kind of a homemade sort of film looking through the eyes of a father and a kind of band member, and they want to get together and form a band of blind folks. But we are also going to feature a couple of different real world topics. Do you know any blind businesses, blind owned businesses,
And
businesses?
I was looking at that. It's like it said it's 1 million blind people in the United States.
Yeah, somehow I think that's a little understated.
Hello? You think
I
so?
think there's maybe a few more. I couldn't say. I always thought there was quite a few more of us. There being 50 million total in the United States, or at least plus or minus, that are disabled or senior citizens. So I'd imagine a fairly large chunk of that being disabled. Now, let's just pretend that there's only 1 million of us who are unemployed. I mean, 1 million of us who are blind. If
Right.
60% or 70% or 90% of that million people were unemployed, that would make up a quite significant amount of the community, as it does. So just kind of some food for thought there.
Yeah, and you know, I'm just thinking like well, I sort of think we have it really good here in America as far as like the blind community, because I know there's like other countries, and let's not even talk about the third world countries. But I mean, even some progress has been made there, because I know this guy named that this guy named is Paul Ugambi, and he's done quite a bit, and he lives in South Africa. But I don't know. I just think that we're just very blessed here. Where okay. Let me weigh that. Okay, other countries, like mostly the family takes care of the blind person, and unless they can figure out how to make a living, they have to live in that kind of situation. And I don't know that about you, that would sort of like cramp my style. Um,
Having your
and
family take care of you, I help you out.
yeah. I mean, that would be cramp my style, because my mother, she thought, no, what she did, she went and bought this camper, and she loved going fishing, and she just said she had this dream that for the rest of our, my life, her life, whatever, that that oh man, this lady's asking me questions. I mean, she thought for the rest of our life that
That we should fish for the rest of our
yeah,
lives.
yes,
It's
yes,
interesting you bring this up, Johnny, because fishing was a noted position that blind people would have. As a matter of fact, there are some laws on the books that are throwback laws. In some states, you can get a lifetime fishing license. All you got to do is basically sign your rights away, saying that you'll never work again a day in your life, because of course you're basically taking on fishing as your profession. Other blind folks made furniture. Piano tuning was also big in the 1800s, as well as chimney sweeps. You didn't need to be able to see to sweep the ashes and stuff out of chimneys. We have come quite a ways since then. And, some of these topics that we're going to talk about here tonight, here on Innervision FM, will center around those. One being, are there different organizations? Are there groups out there that blind folks belong to that advocate for values and that kind of thing that all blind people hold near and dear to their heart? And I would submit that yes, there are. I mean, you got a couple of main ones here in America, and you've got a couple worldwide that do try to sort of unify the entire community, as it were, much like globalism in what we have today. Everything is taken care of by the system, by government, and it doesn't really allow for too much in the way of innovation, at least in the blind community. Now, maybe they've got a different plan or a different something for everybody else, but for the blind community, giving a handout has resulted in my opinion, 70 to 90% unemployment rate, and some pretty high statistical unemployment rates within the disabled community at large. But there is still hope. I mean, people still, even in this kind of adversity, still try to do things like what you're doing, Johnny, right now, where you've got your nonprofit, and through that, you get sponsors such as Christian Brothers Moving Company. Folks, these guys are in Denver, Phoenix, Texas, and I'm sure you don't probably have anything queued up, but these guys are some pretty fat folks, man, and they help to support folks like Johnny, who are trying to make a living by being self-employed or having a nonprofit organization.
Oh, wait. Hey, hold on for a second. I got it right here.
Christian Brothers Moving Company takes care of you by taking care of your family's moving needs. Give them a call, 303-526-2630, and tell them that you heard about them on Innervision. Get the best moving experience you've ever had with Christian Brothers Moving Company, 303-526-2630. That's 303-526-2630. Christian Brothers is a proud underwriter of Innervision. Call them now, 303-526-2630.
There you go.
And there you go. And that's just one of our sponsors, folks. These guys were good enough to sponsor us for a year. But, you can sponsor us at any level, any way, shape, or form that you feel led to do so. And there's a couple of ways to get that done. You can sponsor us on just a donation level through paypal.me/Innervision Denver, and a couple of other ways through Venmo and Cash App. Everything is in the description below. And let's see what else we got.
So you were talking about like those different groups that they get together once a year. I think like all around the United States.
There are different national groups and state groups, and they meet at different times. They also have sometimes they'll have different seminars that they'll hold different times throughout the year in January and February. One notably being the Washington seminar, where they'll get together and they'll help to craft legislation. Now, these folks I'm talking about here are the National Federation of the Blind, and you can Google them and get all the information you need. We're not trying to plug one or the other or any of these, but we're just telling you that these things exist. Another one is the American Council of the Blind, and then of course you got your non-affiliated groups who don't belong to anything and just kind of muddle on through as they see fit. And there are benefits and advantages to all of that. Some are legislatively bound, like the National Federation of the Blind. Some, like I say, with the American Council of the Blind, are most noted for social type advancements. How to get together and how to form groups and common interests and things like this, as well as different social programs and whatnot. Those are really important nowadays.
Now tell me something. Okay, I've been to a state convention, and then a long time ago I went to the national convention. Now, have you ever went to either one of those yourself?
Now, to a few of them. I went back in 1997. They went to New Orleans, I believe it was. And as a matter of fact, I think they're going to be in New Orleans again this year. I think this will be one of the first years that they've reconvened the national convention for the National Federation of the Blind since the advent of the pandemic and that kind of thing. So this ought to be interesting.
Yeah.
You know,
And a lot of businesses go there, like blind-owned businesses with products for the blind, and they go there and they sell their wares and
yes, they've got a big ballroom that they set up, and it's basically it's an exhibit hall. And they did something like this online last year and the year before when they held the conventions virtually. Those were a great success. It helped YouTubers like Johnny and some other friends that I've worked with to launch their channels and things. But anyway, what they'll do is they'll get together these great ballrooms in these hotels, and they'll set them up with hundreds of tables, hundreds of booths. And you could just walk around this big old room set up with all this stuff and just demo.
Yes.
You get it demoed for you right there on the floor there.
and that's pretty. So so even at the state level and at the national level, you get a chance to meet these entrepreneurs, and that's how I met the guy that sold me my first computer. I met him, and then I saw him at the at one of these conventions, and he was, he started like in his house, and then since he hooked up with the government, he was able to sell it for probably double or maybe triple the price with the computers were worth at the time. And then he was able to buy a store called Beyond Sight
Yeah.
here, where he actually, his wife was the accountant, but he had other people that he would employ to work at this computer company.
Yeah, they I'm not sure what happened. I know the company was sold a while back, and not really sure who all bought it, but it's since become online. It's brick and mortar store than it was. There were some changes that they went through over the last, say 10 or 20 years, like all businesses do. And so, times changed and that kind of thing. So a lot of the stuff that they were selling right out of their store became just as readily available and sometimes cheaper online if you ordered it. So, everything kind of went online. But there still are a number of vendors that have actually also gotten into the equipment vending business. So they can not only show you the tips and techniques via either your money or via state money, but they can show you tips and techniques, but they can also vend the products to you. So let's say you need a Braille display, you could theoretically hook up with a business that can teach you all about how to use this Braille display, and lo and behold, they got one handy that they recommend. And boy, if you're hooked up with the state to try to get a job, you might be able to get some help that way. Unfortunately, there are significant wait lists nowadays and this kind of thing. And once you get on to this perpetual trying to find a job thing, it doesn't often pan out. I do have to be honest with you, Johnny. All the jobs that I've found them by myself. And
Same here. And I wonder, because I know they have that VIP, is it the VIP program with the people that they place them in they train and place them in government buildings, and they have like these little sandwich shops or cold shop.
BEP, the Business Enterprise Program, first started in 1973. The Randolph-Shepard Act gave the blind business owner the capability to manage either vending machines or little stands that were set up in the government institution, buildings, this kind of thing. Very interesting department. And it would have worked out.
I've known 3 people. Let's see, 4 people. And out of that 4, I known for them to drop out of the program, and I guess I never really talked to them and asked like what happened, because because I know there's some successes there, like this.
Oh yes,
Worley guy who lives in Colorado Springs.
Yeah, Kevin Morley. Yeah.
Yeah, but I never did really ask these the other three, why did they drop out of that program?
In the beginning, with the business enterprise program, I think that a lot of people said, "Well, you're not motivated enough. You don't have what it takes, and it's just not for you." As more people got involved with it, and as the cover started getting peeled back, people started realizing that some of this government money, as with much of our government tax dollars, was being wasted, and the program itself started to hemorrhage money in different ways.
Hmm.
There's that's a topic in and of itself that we could spend a whole hour on.
Wait,
But
I wanted to get involved with it, but I just wanted to fill those candy machines. But they were
right,
saying like, what? No, you just can't fill candy machines.
yeah,
You have to
right,
learn how
exactly.
to cook and all that. I said, I like to cook for myself, but I would prefer just putting candy in these machines. And it's like,
Yeah,
so it was like
yeah,
a catch
exactly.
22.
Well, man, and I back when those claw machines were big and huge, those crane machines that you fill up with stuffed animals and all kinds of different things. Why
Yes.
we purchased about 4 or 5 of those
Hmm.
about 30 years ago, and we put them on some locations. But you almost need a bunch of those to really make some real money. You
Hmm.
know, and but yeah, it's quite fascinating to get into the business aspect of owning your own business of any kind. Uh, and there are quite a few out there that are kind of mom and pop, and they've decided to merger a little bit, kind of like what Beyond Sight did with whatever their new owners are. There is an outfit right here in Denver, Colorado, who merged with a friend of mine in Texas. I guess one guy is blind tech training, and then the other guy, I can't remember. I just saw this silly Facebook post either
Hmm.
yesterday or this morning. I can't remember. But by golly, man, it's going to be a great merger, because what blind tech training does is exactly what I was talking about. It takes certain of knowledge that you might need to get, like JAWS training or Zoom training, Zoom text training, or just basic computer training. Uh, that ends up that the what do you call it? The state picks up the tab
Hmm.
oftentimes, and the equipment is provided via recommendation by this guy who just also happens to be the vendor. So
Yeah.
they kind of help make money with with each other, and
Now, do you know if are they teaching coding? Because I heard that this is like a boatload of jobs waiting for people to fill it that are looking for coders.
now
People that
here's what's interesting about that. You can certainly, if you're blind, become a computer programmer, basic code monkey, as it were. You do have to go to college for much of this stuff, and they do offer paid little positions that you can get called code camps, and those allow for you to kind of test out what you're learning and really get paid for it if your product is up to snuff, so to speak. Um, there's still some disadvantages, like when you get into college, you have to use what's called learning paths or logic paths or something like this. And it's where they basically have this preset software that first it determines what you learn, what you already know, and then out of those two topics, what you're going to be learning and what you already know on those two topics, then it tailor makes the course for you. Unfortunately, some of that stuff is a little bit less than accessible. So I know I spent hundreds upon hundreds of dollars uh, trying to keep up my college courses back about a year ago, even when I was in Colorado Springs there. You remember when I was going back to college there?
right?
So I don't know.
Wait,
There's got
wait,
to be a
I got to ask this question of Siri. How many blind business owners are there in the USA?
Well, let's see what she says. This is going to be interesting, folks, because some of these numbers are cooked.
You think so?
Yeah, they got to be cooked, man. If there's only 1 million blind people in the United States, I'll eat my hat. I don't even own one.
Hold on. Oh,
We're not going to get an
wait a
answer
minute.
on
Wait
that
a
one.
minute. When they're saying 16 to 17 plus. Oh, they give me a bunch of numbers there. They give me a bunch of numbers.
Yeah, see, that's the thing is whenever you go to try to get the actual statistics, they bury everything in so many other numbers that it actually makes no sense. When you start digging into the articles themselves start contradicting
Man,
what's up there and all kinds of crazy stuff. Now, I'm not trying to paint a bleak or bad picture because there is always hope, and that hope is unity, and that unity can be found only in one place, and that's Jesus Christ. And well, that's just my big thing on that. But
yeah.
honestly, I mean, unity and music and Jesus Christ and being together and fellowship and food and water and energy, man, so many things that we need.
Yeah. Now I understand. Okay, like at call centers,
Uh-huh.
and this is even happening in when we were in Russia a few years ago. We found out that there was a call center of a lot of like blind people in Russia,
Yes.
and in America, they have call centers. That it was used to be ones that for whole room like for blind people. Then that broke up, and then they just sent them to individual Pizza Huts or Pizza whatever. And then now I guess is the clothing donation, where you can work at night and they give you a list. Well, there's a machine that dials up numbers and you call for the clothing donation. And then I think even not Salvation Army. What's that other place called? They have a stores that they sell back old clothes.
Well, you do have Goodwill Industries,
Yes,
and
there it is. Yes, that's it. That's it. Yeah.
they do help to employ some disabled folks, as does the ARC thrift stores, and they're throughout the nation in different names and shapes and that kind of thing. And ARC thrift stores really do try to keep out of the automated aspects of stuff, where now customer service is going away because of automation, because of artificial intelligence technology. The need to have somebody sitting behind the desk and manning a Rockwell dialer or other automatic dialing systems just isn't effective or efficient anymore. So, and it's cheaper. It's economically cheaper to spend a couple of $100 on some software that you can type in whatever you want for it to say. It'll never mess up the script. It'll never get tired, and it'll never call in sick.
Oh yeah.
So,
yeah,
so
definitely.
I'll tell you, the pigeonhole jobs that blind folks have done in the past, such as customer service positions, clerical positions, things like that, those will kind of go on the wayside. Some of the work at home remote positions, which are stopgap measures in my mind, are going to only be filled until such time as AI even takes those remote positions out of the way.
Now, I was at this government meeting, and I think I missed it this year, and they were talking about like these companies that they make parts for either airplanes or war weapons or stuff like that, and so they have like a whole team of blind people that are working in that field as well.
Yeah, they just had a push on that 3 years ago through the Defense Department and the CIA and things like this. There are different government jobs that one can get if they are blind, and they do have the background to fit those certain positions. There's a lot of psychological battery of tests that you got to go through for some of these some of these, but there's some pretty high paid positions, I'll tell you.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Oh, and I gotta tell you this one thing. One of those companies, they wanted to open up uh, this in Colorado Springs, but
hmm
the vocational people in Colorado Springs got said that, they didn't want them to move in on their thing, and so they said, well, even though you're offering higher paid jobs, we don't want to, let you, open up these assistive companies here in the Springs. And I thought that was so weird. It's like, why not? I mean, what if somebody, is willing to, move to Colorado Springs or work here in somewhere in Colorado and say, yeah, I like to have a high paying job making, 25 or $40 an hour, and or maybe more, and but they just got jealous and said, no, we want to train blind people to work these low end jobs for the most part, and maybe a few of them will get lucky and they'll be able to get, I don't know if it's lucky or not, but they get a state job which they're paying like good benefits and so forth like that. But I just thought it was unusual that they blocked this company from coming in offering high paid jobs for the blind.
it could very well be that that has to do with the school for the blind that is in the Colorado Springs area. They service the deaf-blind community. The deaf end up going to college called Gallaudet, I believe, and the blind folks usually will go to different trade schools or colleges straight out of Colorado Springs. Unfortunately, whenever any population is segregated from mainstream education, there are some drawbacks and things like that. A lot of them do with SAT scores, PSAT scores, things like that that often suffer because of the enclosed environment that one has when one goes to a institutionalized school like that. But I don't know. I mean, it's interesting. Yeah, I find it pretty interesting as well. I mean, the only thing I can figure is the Air Force Academy is down in the Springs there.
Yeah.
Perhaps, they've got some contracts we don't know about.
Yeah. Now I have this question like that. So okay, so sighted people, I always have people sighted saying, "Oh, if I was blind, I could, I would even leave my house and whatever." And, and I'm thinking like, okay, sighted people, if you could put yourself in our feet, in our shoes, and imagine, well, except for like truck drivers, airline pilots, things of that sort, if you were still to be doing your job, how would you imagine that you would do the job you're doing now as a sighted person? And remember, there's a lot of adaptive equipment to help you do the job that you have. Like if you were like work with clothing, which I don't know, that's been outsourced so much. It's probably made all the way in China, right? Or what else? Working at a shoe store, and cash registers have been adopted. Or I know that at one point, people, they had a whole McDonald's that was mostly blind people working at it, and I don't know what happened to that, if the funding went out or what. But that was kind of cool.
That is interesting. You're bringing up some very valid pieces of what do you call that technology? You're talking about adapted cash registers, POS, which are point of sale. You're talking about if you're in the retail industry and you're working with clothing. Well, how do you tell what color is what? Well, there are apps that can be downloaded onto the phone that will tell a blind person what color their clothing is. So the adaptive techniques that we learned even as blind children, because we've been blind since birth, sometimes those even become obsolete and outdated, except to say that technology doesn't always work. So there are internet glitches and power outages and things. So it is good to always have your clothing color coded, as it were, so that you know what you're putting on. If you can't tell by the feel of what a certain thing is, but man, the blind have never had it so good. We've got different services that help us with things, and it helps us to quote be, if we call it independent, when it's actually interdependent, and more so because we're still using sighted assistance, so help from some people who can see. We're just independently using that service to get our job done, and then okay, bye-bye now.
I tell you, I'm going to ask you another question. The most frustrating thing is, say I find a job and say the guy say, "Oh, what you need is adaptive equipment."
Right.
Well, it takes so long for vocational rehab to give you that adaptive stuff, and they just assume that, oh, if the employer is willing to hire you, he or she is willing to wait on the government agencies to supply that equipment. And why should you have to wait? Go ahead.
Some companies and stuff. Isn't that right, bud? Here's my little sound. This is our sound engineer. His name's Niklaus. Anyway, sorry about that. Had to deal with him for a sec. But it's interesting you bring that point up, because 6 months to a year can be an eternity, especially in the work world. Companies fail and die if they're startup companies in that first year. So it's very important for them to hire loyal employees that will be able to do the job competently and efficiently. So that adaptive technology that you talk about either has to be in place, or if it's not in place, why they have to move on. But they run into ADA rules that say, man, you're going to be sued for discrimination if you fire this person outright. So often what will happen is they'll get together with the people that are doing the adaptive aids and technology stuff, and they'll say, hey, now look, here in about 6 months, we're going to this new system, and it can't be adapted. We don't want to let these guys go outright. So we got to kind of figure some stuff out. So this here runs into the realm of Alan Colvin supposition and possible opinion and all kinds of crazy stuff. But I swear to you that more than a few of my friends have gotten strung along in employment situations for 6 months where, oh, they got paid and everything else. But all of a sudden their job went away because, lo and behold, they just went to a new timekeeping system where they got to punch in this way, and gosh darn, you can't log in. And by golly, there's just scripts that just can't be adapted quick enough, and you got to go.
Yeah. Now, let's get, because you sort of like touched on this. You said there was waiting on vocational rehab was like a pain, so you just went out and found the jobs yourself. And
right.
I have a few stories about just about every DJ job I've gotten myself. And I was even a part of this program where this is for older citizens, and they said, we'll place you in a nonprofit, and they'll give you a stipend. But I found the nonprofit, so I can relate to what you're saying. But give us some examples of where you were with vocational rehab, and you did their job better than they did their job.
Well, an example that I can give that's really a pretty good example is I worked for a home improvement store. I can't mention the home improvement store because I'm bound by certain contract, but I worked for them for a number of years, and it ended up that towards the end of stuff, it didn't work out as well as what I would have liked, and adaptations for the job were not forthcoming, and they were going to switch over to an automated phone system, which would have eliminated 2/3 of my job anyway. I mean, 1/3 of it was looking up products and information, and going to product knowledge classes so that I knew what products to use for the proper project, and that kind of thing. But I'll tell you, I got that job because my sister-in-law worked there, And I went in there and I looked and blah, blah, blah. And lo and behold, they hired me. And then I had to go to rehab and say, okay, cool. They've even got a computer. They've even got the system. All they got to do is clone it. They just need a tower. So they did. They bought an extra tower. And Home Depot, whoops. The home improvement store that I went to that I was working with, almost spilled the beans. Yeah. Anyway, so I worked for these home improvement guys for a number of years, and rehab did help out a little bit towards the end. But I will tell you, the examples go on and on like that. Now, that's not to say that vocational rehabilitation didn't help, because there were some jobs that I got because of the connection. So, it's a give and take. Yeah. I think the idea is independence is fine, well and good for the blind community. And it's a laudable thing for all of us to reach for and to strive for, because it's interlocked with freedom and it's interlocked with liberty. And anytime that we base our society too much on interdependence, which we all need each other, whether it's a governmental system, because they need people to rule, whether it's a private based business like you're not for profit, or whether it's a for-profit organization like Christian Brothers Moving, we all need each other. But the idea being too much interdependence really does breed some things that need change. So the best way to do that is at the local, state, and federal levels. And you've done that, Johnny. You started running for District 5, and it's going to be House District 5 in Denver. You Capitol a couple of days ago, as did I. I didn't get a stay, but what did you find out?
Well,
actually, it was only yesterday. Oh my gosh, man.
Oh yeah. Well,
Anyway.
we have a lady that's gonna be running against Diane DeGette, and that's gonna be fantastic, because I knew this other guy that he was gonna run, but he said, he said he has to generate $6,000 worth of money, and he said it was just, I guess the GOP wasn't going to support him in that, and so he said he couldn't do it, he couldn't afford it, and so this lady, who's been working as a volunteer for the Republican Party for 12 years or so, she said she would step up to the plate in District 1 and run against DeGette, and then as I'm doing research of the guy that's Alex Valdez, I find out that the Democrat Party in District 5 has a meeting every second Saturday, and I'm thinking, like, I wonder if Republicans in this district have regular meetings, or is it only when a Republican is elected in this district will they even consider having a meeting? So that made me kind of curious to find out if they were
Absolutely
supporting.
fascinating. So to learn more about that, you folks will have to stay tuned, just like I will.
Yeah. Oh, and you can go to the website, Johnnie J for Colorado House District 5.com. And I was out to get my daughter to look up, because I just now got my bio up there. And so I just added that up there, and you can go up there and check that out, and it talks about what I stand for and the 5 things that I'm concerned with. But I want to hear from you as well. So that's Johnnie J for Colorado House District 5.com.
That's
And
right.
we'll
That's
find out.
right. We need to hear those comments any old way that you can get them to us. Even if you got to toss us a phone call at 720-324-7278, do that if you got it.
And also info at innervisionfm.com. And of course, we definitely could use your financial help. So you can go to paypal.me/InnervisionDenver. That's paypal.me/InnervisionDenver. and it really would help if you became a member either at a like 5.95 or 15.95 a month. Not a lot, but we've seen like a lot, like probably it's about 200 of you that liked one of our shows. So if we just had that just from 200 of you, 250 of you, or whatever, I mean that would really help move things ahead as far as like things that we're doing here at Innervision FM. Also, we're going to be doing a concert at the end of this month on the 29th with Dreamland at Roxy Theater on Welton Street down there. And
That's April 29th, Dreamland Music down at the Roxy Theater.
Yeah. So, there's a lot of ways you can help out, and we really appreciate it. Oh, and I know we went over a little bit here, but we'd like to, thank everybody for joining us, and leave your ideas and thoughts in the subject box, or like I said, email us directly, info@Innervision FM, and within 24 hours, because I check the Facebook, the YouTube, and sometimes the D Live is kind of not that user friendly. Twitter, I'll check that, and we'll get back with you on some of these the whatever questions that you had here on Innervision FM.
One final thing, every Thursday, every first Thursday of the month.
Go ahead. I'm sorry, I hit the wrong button.
One final thing, every month, the first Thursday of every month, there's a band called Drifter out of Berthoud, Colorado, plays a cafe called the Cornerstone Cafe. So it looks like tomorrow they're up. For folks that are in the area, drop by, say hello. Should be starting around 5:30 or so. Probably go to about 7. So oftentimes I've been working with them a little bit. I'm going to see if I can get my silly mic to work. I'm having this problem. Anyway, if I can get that working, we'll see if we can get a show at least recorded.
All right, sounds good. And so we're gonna end with our song "LittleHater," the bonus track on "Rockin' in Jesus" from Wayne Turner here at Innervision FM. As I look for the way to exit out of here. We'll see you next week. Have a fantastic weekend, and keep the faith.